How long should a UX case study be? This is a question I am asked all the time, and I want to give an answer to it once and for all. In case we haven't met yet, my name is Sarah Doody, and I'm a user experience designer and founder of something called the UX Portfolio Formula, which helps user experience professionals learn how to create a portfolio and prepare for their job interviews. So back to the question. This question of how long should a UX case study be is a question that I am asked all the time. And I feel like there is a lot of misinformation out there. But more importantly, I feel like we are not thinking critically about this question because the answer may surprise you. So I want to jump over to some slides I have prepared for us. Okay, this is a question that came up in one of my communities the other day. I read that your UX portfolio should have case studies no more than 300 words with the goal of getting past the recruiter. When I saw this question, I started to freak out a little bit because this is the wrong question to be asking. But so often people ask me variations of this question, such as, how long should a case study be? How many words should it be? How many pages should it be if it's a PDF? And these simply are the wrong questions to ask. The notion that a case study should only be some certain number of words is not taking into account something really, really important that we're going to get to in a few seconds. But here's the thing. The true answer is that it depends. I always teach my students that they are never allowed to ask me, how many words should a case study be? Because it depends. And it depends because design is subjective. Of course, we have rules and best practices and things like that. But oftentimes, when I'm doing design critiques with colleagues, we ask ourselves, why? Why is it like this? Why does it have to be like this? What is the context of this? All these questions to understand, does this make sense for this specific situation? You have to consider the context of the situation. And I want you to think about it like this. Imagine if we had a rule that said every single homepage of a website must not be any longer than 1,500 pixels tall. That would be absurd. It would be so ridiculous. Because sometimes some homepages don't have much to say. They're not very long. Other times, maybe it is really, really long. Maybe it's the homepage of a news site. That probably is going to be longer than 1,500 pixels tall. What is the difference? The difference is it depends. It depends on what that website is about. What is the goal of that homepage? What is the content going on that homepage? So many variables. So this is why I don't want us to be asking ourselves, how many words should a case study be? How many lines, how many characters, how many pages, etc. It's just crazy to me. So I wanted to come up with a little bit of a visual analogy to help you understand because, as I said, the answer is it depends. The reason that I think some of you are asking this, though, is because you're worried that your case study is too long. Why? Because you know that oftentimes people are just skimming and scanning and going through it very quickly in, 1 minute, 2 minutes, especially early on in the interview process where they're just flipping through really fast or scrolling through really fast. So the question is not how long should it be? The question you should be asking yourself is, how long does it feel? And how could I adjust the layout of my portfolio so that it is more skimmable and more scannable? Okay, let's jump over to our example. So this is a kind of wireframe, let's call it, of a portfolio. Let's imagine that all the little lines are text. They're pretty small font, as you can tell. And all the purple boxes are images. I labeled IMG here so you know all the purple boxes are images. And this is 18 pages. Let's imagine it's a PDF, okay? So looking at this right now, does it feel overwhelming? To me, it does. Imagine that we're looking at these slide by slide and we've got, smallish images and lots of text. It feels like it's probably going to be quite long as someone is skimming, scanning, flipping, going through this really, really fast. So on the other hand, let's look at this one. Same amount of pages. This one is still 18 pages, but let's go back to the other one for a moment, just so you can see. This one versus this one. First question, how does this feel? To me, it feels a lot more manageable. It's still the exact same quantity of pages, but the images are larger. The fonts are larger. Notice that we have headlines and headers, subheadlines, etc. We've broken out the text, the blocks of text to maybe be little columns. They're not going all the way across the page, all the way. That's hard to read. So this portfolio, even though it is still 18 pages, it feels not as long. And therefore, if someone is skimming, scanning, going through this really fast, they're probably going to make it through, more pages than someone who's going through this one. Someone who's looking at this one might go, nice. And then, page 4, they just get overwhelmed because it's just like walls of text, lots to read, feels like a lot of work. This one doesn't feel as overwhelming. And so as you look at your case studies, think to yourself, does it feel long? Do I have gigantic blocks of text? What can I do to adjust those gigantic blocks of text? Maybe you don't need some of it. Maybe you need to take some of that text and make headlines and subheadlines and make your images bigger and things like that. But my point here is that we're asking ourselves the wrong question when we say, how many pages, how many words, how many characters should a case study be? It is subjective. Many design decisions are subjective. And like I said, it would be crazy if we had a rule that said every homepage must be 1,500 characters or pixels tall. Instead, ask yourself, how long does it feel? And what can I do to make it feel way more manageable than this? And instead, maybe a little bit more like this. I hope this video was helpful. I hope that these visuals help you get the why behind the answers that I give to a lot of the questions I am asked. And if you need more help with your UX portfolio or your job interviews, head on over to the link below in this description, uxportfolioformula.com. I have a ton of articles as well as different online programs to help you accelerate either finishing your portfolio, fixing the one you already have in place, or preparing for those job interviews. And let me know in the comments below if seeing this example made you realize that you need to do a little bit of work to get your portfolio case studies to feel a little bit more manageable, to feel more like what we're seeing right now versus this. Thanks, and I will talk to you soon.